Peace. What's up, y'all? This your man D Pillar. And what I want to do right now is I want to look a little deeper into the claims by Siku Gentle and the Yamassee Nation that the sheriff's office of Allendale is lying about them being a registered tribe or a tribe that has registered and been acknowledged by the federal government, by the B.I.A, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and Department of the Interior as a federally acknowledged or recognized tribe. So I'm gonna give you guys some sound bites to listen carefully to, and then we'll continue on.
Robinson says it's believed the tribe is trying to take custody of the child through the Indian Child Welfare Act, a federal law that seeks to keep American Indian children with American Indian families.
However, they're not recognized as a Indian tribe. They also have not even applied for the recognition as an Indian tribe.
Okay, you heard that, right? They said they're not he says that they're not recognized as an Indian tribe, nor have they applied as a, to be, listen to the word, recognized as an Indian tribe. Now, if you go to BIA.gov and look under, and you look for, there's a list of petitioners by state as of April 29, 2011, a list of petitioners by state, okay, of tribes that um, are seeking federal acknowledgement, right? Because it's not actually federal recognition. It's actually called federal acknowledgement, and they're really one and the same. But if you go to the state of Florida, you'll see, and it should pop up in a second, but in the state of Florida, you should see, hold on one second. Florida continued. 334 right here, Yamassee Nation, Dr. Siku Gentle, and then it gives his letter of intent to petition 329 2011. A letter of intent to petition went in. So they didn't actually petition, but they put a letter of intent to petition in. So that makes the sheriff, now if this is where it stands, that they only have the letter of intent to petition in, this makes what the sheriff of Allendale, the sheriff's department of Allendale said correct, that they have not filed for the recognition. To put a letter of intent in does not mean that you have filed, that you have actually petitioned. It just means you put a letter of intent in to petition. It is a large, arduous process that goes into filing to become an acknowledged Native American tribe. And just because you have your name on the Federal Registrar does not mean anything. And I'll show you right here, Federal Registrar, Volume 64, number 231. And this is for December 2nd. Now, this is 1999 notices, right? But I just want to read to you where it says, when you go down, it says Department of the Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs, receipt of petitions for federal acknowledgement of existence as an Indian tribe. Bureau of Indian Affairs, Interior. Notice, this notice is published in the exercise of authority delegated by the Secretary of the Interior to the Assistant Secretary, Indian Affairs by 209 DM 8, pursuant to 25 blah blah blah. Notice is hereby given that the following groups have each filed a letter of intent to petition for acknowledgement. Listen to that carefully. A letter of intent to petition for acknowledgement by the Secretary of the Interior that the group exists as an Indian tribe. Each letter of intent was received by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA, on the date indicated and was signed by members of the group's governing body. Okay? And then right here, we'll move over, okay, and go down. And it says this is right here. It says this is a notice of receipt of these letters of intent. Let me read it again. This is a notice of receipt of these letters of intent to petition and does not constitute notice that the petitions are under active consideration. Notice of active consideration will be sent by mail to the petitioner and other interested parties at the appropriate time. Notice of active consideration will be sent by mail to the petitioners and other interested parties at the appropriate time. Under Section 83.9 of the Federal Regulations, third parties may submit factual and or legal arguments in support of or in opposition to each group's petition and may request to be kept informed of all general actions affecting the petition of third parties. Woo, woo, woo. So it keeps going on. Okay, so what this is telling you is that just because you put in a letter of intent to petition, right? It says this is a notice of receipt of these letters of intent to petition and does not constitute notice that the petitioners are under active consideration. You see that? So just because you put a letter of intent in does not mean that you're federally recognized or acknowledged, which there's no office of federal recognition, by the way. It is the Office of Federal Acknowledgement. The Office of Federal Acknowledgement, OFA, within the Office of Assistant Secretary, Indian Affairs of the Department of the Interior, DOI, implements Part 83 of Title 25 of the Code of Federal Regulations, procedures for establishing that an American Indian group exists as an Indian tribe. The acknowledgement process is the department's administrative process by which petitioning groups that meet the criteria are acknowledged as Indian tribes, and their members become eligible to receive services provided to members of federally recognized Indian tribes. Okay? The acknowledgement regulations are the result of a rulemaking process that included notice and extensive public commitment. Okay, so consultation of consideration of revision to the federal acknowledgement regulations. So I'm showing you here all of this, that there's an Office of Federal Acknowledgement, that you're seeking federal acknowledgement as a quote unquote Native American or Indian tribe. I'm saying all of this for a reason. Okay. Now, I want to go here to an interview that Siku did last year. And my purpose is to let you hear out of his own mouth him say that they don't want the federal recognition, right? But that they are already acknowledged. They say that there's a difference between federal recognition and federal acknowledgement. And they say that they don't want the federal recognition, right? They don't want to go under the Bureau of Indian Affairs or the Department of the Interior, right? Which is the ones that are responsible for deciding who is federally acknowledged. This is out of their own mouth. This is out of his own mouth. But he's saying that in this interview, he's going to tell you, just listen to him, listen to what he says, listen to him double talk. Okay.
And I'll go right into federal recognition versus federal acknowledgement. And doing due diligence and understanding and overstanding the legal terminologies of things and doing research, and your guests and your listeners can do the same thing. The difference between recognition and acknowledgement is recognition, according to the terms of how the B.I.A. worded, is that you fall under their jurisdiction and protected by them. Now, as we know, if you are recognized, you become a federal tribe. Anytime the word federal tribe is in play, then you are not autonomous, for lack of a better word, because you are dependent on them for some kind of financial status or financial support if you need be or go to them. Just like receiving welfare, when you go to get welfare or you go get health benefits from the government, they have requirements for you because you're asking them for something. And this does not go against the United States government, because as we are a government, we have to do certain things for our people as well when they need certain things from us or services from us. But in their criteria for needing something, they ask you to outline basically your whole lineage. You know, they want to know about you. They want to know about your children, any health conditions, any convictions, any this, any that, and that. And so where we are with the recognition side of things is that we are not, nor do we depend on the United States government, as we stand for a republic, which means that we are doing the best we can to contribute to the welfare and the economic structure of our nation, they call America. So therefore, if we were dependent on a system who is trying their best to come out of a deficit right now, we would be doing what most other tribes are doing, which is saying that we're dependent on them. Now, again, this is not to go against other nations who find themselves needing the services of the United States government, nor is it a reflection or view that we oppose what they're doing, by no aspects at all. But what we're just saying, simply saying, is that in order to be truly autonomous, you need nothing from them. And as the UN Declaration of Rights have it stand, you know, and that the United States through Barack Obama has signed off on, you have the ability to take care of yourself, and you have the ability to create businesses to support your people and do the things that you need to do for your people to be self-sustaining. We have taken advantage of that, and we shall continue to take advantage of that opportunity to be self-sufficient as a independent nation, as most know that to become recognized means that the B.I.A., Bureau of Indian Affairs, has the right, and there's a basically a compact created that they put officers on your land. There's from our reports, because I can't speak on this personally as we do not deal with this, you can't cut down trees without their acknowledgement. Casinos and gambling and things of nature, you have to wait on checks and monies and stipends from that. And once again, it's because you're asking for something up front. My example would be to you, Brother Pa, if you know, you lived in your house and you claimed it was your house, and I came in and paid all your bills, and you was dependent on me giving you money to pay your bills, who really run your house? As you may look as the head of the household, if I say that you can't have X, Y, Z in your house, then, and you know that you can't afford not to have me pay your bills, then what are you going to do? You're not going to have X, Y, Z in your house. So the recognition is really how that outlines most Native American nations when they are recognized, and it comes off to be a good thing because they are actually a part of the federal government. For us, we have acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is simply we have the bloodline to prove who we are. We're not just making this up, as a lot of people go along and do. There's a very few people that we even will speak on that have the blood lineage to recognize themselves as Yamassee. Well, so we have the blood lineage to prove that we are who we say we are. We can take this to a court any day, especially when it comes to my blood. We have treaties in place that were signed by other Yamassee people on behalf of the Yamassee. We may or may not agree with the treaty, but because it's in place and it's required to be acknowledged, we utilize the treaties that have been put forth for us and as Muskogee and Muskogee people and as Yamassee people. We have a government-to-government relationship with the United States government, meaning that their court systems adhere to our court systems. They recognize our court orders. They recognize our Chief Justice and the orders that's put out by him. Their Department of Children and Family Services recognize that we have first rights to our children, which is unprecedented for what people have done. We have all these things documented. And so with the acknowledgement comes the fact that if we were an illegitimate and non-acknowledged tribal nation, then none of these things would happen. In a nutshell, we have had communication and complete cooperation from state governments, law enforcement officers, sheriff departments, and things of that nature when it comes to any interaction that our citizens have had with them or any infractions that they might have incurred while traveling in certain states. We've had letters, again, I'm reiterating, giving us full jurisdiction and giving us first rights to our children, which is the most important thing to me. You know, we get past all of the other documents people want to file and talk about solving and driving without driver's license, which we do not support at all.
Okay, now, did you guys hear this guy double talk? Double talk and double talk and double talk and try to say that there's a difference between federal recognition and federal acknowledgement when the fact remains that there is no office of federal recognition. It's an office of federal acknowledgement. And you see right here, it tells you, let me see, the acknowledgement regulations are the result of, okay, it goes here, it says, right here, the acknowledgement process is the department's administrative process by which petition groups that meet the criteria are acknowledged as tribes and their members become eligible to receive services provided to members of federally recognized Indian tribes. So on the one hand, he was telling you they don't want to be federally recognized because they don't want to go under the federal government and then become eligible for the different services that are provided by the federal government. But then he tells you, but yeah, we are acknowledged and they have a government to government relationship with the United States, but they they have not gone through the acknowledgement process. They've only put in a letter of intent back in 329 2011, a letter of intent. And it tells you clearly here, it says right here, Department of Interior says this notice is published in the exercise of authority delegated by the Secretary of the Interior to the Assistant pursuant to, and it gives you everything. And it says notice is hereby given that the following groups have each filed a letter of intent to petition for acknowledgement by the Secretary of the Interior that this group exists as an Indian tribe. That is what makes you eligible, will put you under the federal government and makes you eligible for everything that he talked about. He's double talking. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's trying to tell you that federal acknowledgement and federal recognition are two different things. And he doesn't want the federal recognition, but he says that they are federally recognized. So we say, show and prove that you're federally recognized. Show and prove that you went through this long, difficult process of being federally recognized by the United States government, which would place you under the United States Congress, which every citizen of the United States, whether you call yourself Native American or not, as since the 1920s, everybody is a United States citizen, whether you're Native American or Indian or not. This dude is sitting up here lying. Then he sits here and tells you that they have a court, that the United States courts recognize their courts. But in a previous video, I showed you that they went and took their court, their tribal court, and filed it. And it's actually a trucking company under the USDOT. They went to the USDOT, gave it this name, the Yamassee Muskogee Tribal and Appellate Superior Court, so that they can make themselves look official on paperwork. Then he says they have first rights to children, yet his own child, right, is being the sheriff's department in Allendale is looking for the child. The mother has wanted posters out or missing child posters out, wanted posters, whatever's going on allegedly. And this guy's on the run, but he wanted to give people the idea that even though they're not federally recognized, they are federally acknowledged. They do have a nation or government to government relationship with the United States, that they are a legitimate reservation. They are a legitimate Native American tribe. I'm talking about, when I say legitimate, I mean federally recognized, yet he said they don't want the federal recognition. I mean, double talking. The sheriff when the sheriff told you that they're not even recognized by the federal government, this wasn't a lie. He was telling you the truth. They're not recognized by the federal government. You think the sheriff didn't call the B.I.A. to find out? He said they're not even recognized by the federal government, by the B.I.A., by the Department of the Interior, or anybody, and they haven't even filed. The only thing they put in was a letter of intent. And the B.I.A. tells you clearly that a letter of intent, right, This is a notice of receipt of these letters of intent to petition and does not constitute notice that the petitioners are under active considerations. So just because you put a letter of intent in, it does not mean that you're registered with the federal government. It just means that to have you on a registrar, that means that this is a group of people that have the intention to go before us and go through the long, arduous process of trying to become federally acknowledged. A federally acknowledged tribe that, in their own words, becomes eligible it becomes acknowledged as an Indian tribe, and their members become eligible to receive services provided to members of federally recognized tribes. So, Siku, Gentle, why are you fronting? Why you double talking people? You're not federally recognized or federally acknowledged. There's no such thing as an Office of Federal Recognition. It's the Office of Federal Acknowledgement. If you get federal acknowledgement, then that means you do become eligible for all the services. You're double talking, dude. You've been busted again. Stop lying in front to the people, my man. You know what I'm saying? Who you think you playing with, man? We was taught by the sacred master, Dr. Malachi York, to investigate all things thoroughly. You know what I'm saying? Right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding. You got to come at us. You know what I'm saying? You know we gonna come at you with evidence, experience, and reason. And you don't have the evidence. You know what I'm saying? What you talking about don't reason out. And we ain't trying to hear that BS you talking, my man.